And good evening once again. Day 1334 of the Trump administration. And importantly, there are now exactly 50 days to go until the presidential election. Tonight, as the candidates intensify their battle for votes, millions of Americans are facing multiple existential threats. The coronavirus has now infected over 6.5 million Americans, and now over 195,000 of our fellow citizens have died. People along the Gulf Coast tonight are bracing for Hurricane Sally, a rapidly strengthening Category 2 storm. It was a tropical storm just last night. And authorities in California, Oregon, Washington state fighting to contain mega wildfires. In their size and scope, they're unlike any other fire season in modern history. Trump's three-day visit to the West included a stop near Sacramento today. He met with California's governor and first responders battling the fires, which most scientists, by the way, are convinced are a result of climate change. Here is Trump's advice to them.
There has to be good, strong forest management. When trees fall down after a short period of time, about 18 months, they become very dry. They become really like a matchstick. And they get up, there's no more water pouring through. And they become very, they just explode. They can explode. Also, leaves. When you have years of leaves, dried leaves on the ground, it just sets it up. It's really a fuel for a fire. I was talking to a head of a major country, and he said, we're a forest nation. We consider ourselves a forest nation. This was in Europe. I said, that's a beautiful term. He said, we have trees that are far more explosive. He meant explosive in terms of fire. But we have trees that are far more explosive than they have in California.
At a roundtable discussion not long after that, in a moment instantly reminiscent of when the president predicted COVID-19 would disappear, Trump added this.
Okay, it'll start getting cooler. You just watch.
I wish science agreed with you.
Hey, well, I don't think science knows, actually.
The New York Times notes this, quote, Mr. Trump and his senior environmental officials have regularly mocked, denied, or minimized human-caused climate change, and that Trump has sought to zealously roll back environmental regulations. This afternoon, former Vice President Biden blasted Trump's attitude toward climate change.
Donald Trump's climate denial may not have caused these fires and record floods and record hurricanes. But if he gets a second term, these hellish events will continue to become more common, more devastating, and more deadly. If you give a climate arsonist 4 more years in the White House, why would anyone be surprised if we have more America ablaze?
Peter Baker, the American West is tonight yet again lit up in orange of wildfires, yet it seems the president looks to the West and sees only blue. States from Washington to Oregon to California under Democratic control. So what was today's California visit really about?
Well, today's visit was a nod, a perfunctory visit to California, as you say, a blue state he's not going to win, he's not competing in. He'd been criticized for not making much attention to these wildfires for weeks on end. So he interrupted briefly his campaign swing out west to make a 1 hour and 50-minute stop in Sacramento to be briefed on it. And even then, of course, to disagree with the California officials over what was really at stake there. His point about the forest management isn't wrong in the sense that forest management is an issue. Even Governor Newsom, the Democratic governor of California, agreed with him on that. But where they disagree was the role of climate change on that. And you saw Governor Newsom very politely today, very deferentially, but firmly make the point that climate change, in his view, was a substantial factor in what his state and what the other states out west are seeing. His Secretary of Natural Resources was even blunter. And then you played the part where the president responded, basically brushing it off, saying, no, climate change is, it'll be cooler soon. And the science doesn't know what it's talking about. You couldn't have had a starker contrast, of course, with former Vice President Biden, who used today to give a speech where he called the president a climate arsonist. I think you the country is presented here with a pretty strong contrast between a president who says this is all a hoax, this is all nonsense by scientists who don't really know what they're talking about, and cripple the economy with economic regulations that he has begun rolling back, and a challenger in Mr. Biden who's saying, no, climate change is real and it's one of the existential crises of our time. And just like the coronavirus, you've got a president, he is telling us, that doesn't believe the science.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.